Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex. My co-host Anthony Rivardo isn't able to make it today. A little food poisoning. Never fun after going through a night of food poisoning, so he'll be out for today. But this episode is brought to you by Manscaped. Make sure to check out the description. 20% off your purchase and free shipping. All of this goes towards the support of Fireside Giants and our channel. Make sure to like and subscribe as well. A more elite content, we just had an exclusive interview with Rodarius Williams, our 6th round draft pick a couple days ago on Saturday. Hope you guys enjoyed Mother's Day, had spent some great time with the family. But here we are, back at it on Monday. And today, I kind of want to break down some interesting thoughts that I had about this past draft class and really how the Giants accidentally kind of walked into a contingency plan for quarterback Daniel Jones. And it really did seem like an accident because afterwards, we're hearing different rumors that the Giants were really intrigued by Devonta Smith, Alabama receiver, of course, arguably the best receiver in college history, and a little interdivisional crap going on with the Dallas Cowboys trading out of the 10th overall pick with the Philadelphia Eagles for the Eagles to snag Smith. And now they got Jalen Reagor, Devonta Smith, some quality receivers for Jalen Hurts, who they are really investing, pretty much putting all their chips on at this point. They decided not to draft a quarterback, but it's kind of crazy when you think about it, just how risky they're taking this approach. And the Giants, they could end up capitalizing on this tremendously because if Jalen Hurts kind of falls apart and doesn't end up being the quarterback that they hope he ends up, developing to be, the Giants are going to have a really good time facing off against, especially defensively, with all the pieces that they've added the past 2 seasons in Blake Martinez, James Bradbury, Adoree Jackson this year, Azeez Ojulari, 50th overall, the guy, led the SEC in sacks at 9.5 sacks and forced fumbles with 4. But I'll tell you this. The Giants are in a good spot moving forward. They have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. They've retooled their coaching staff. Joe Judge seems to have this team going in the right direction. It's pretty nice to feel optimistic for once, truly optimistic and not kind of blindly faithful. A couple years we were just blindly hoping that Ben McAdoo and Pat Shermer would put this team in a position to succeed. Obviously, they did not. We missed, or at least a lot of people missed the signs of inadequacy, and it really smacked us in the face. But I feel better about this optimism. I feel like we are not blindly faithful right now. I feel like we are actually going somewhere vastly different based on all the moves the Giants graded out as having one of the best draft classes this year for a couple reasons. One, they ended up with Kadarius Toney at 20, who multiple teams came out and said they were hoping would drop to them, including the Packers and Urban Meyer of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then you have the draft capital that they acquired to move back. You've got a 1st-round pick next year, a 4th-round pick, and a 5th-round pick. But that's the major thing, right? The draft capital was exponentially more valuable than getting Devonta Smith. When you pair it with Kadarius Toney, you're getting an immediate instant impact playmaker on offense, but you're also getting yourself draft capital and a contingency plan for Daniel Jones next year. Now, we talked about in the last episode 5 reasons we think the Giants offense is going to take a step forward in 2021. But a lot of it depends on a few different factors, whether it's the offensive line, the play calling, the wide receivers, and they're, upgrading. There's a lot of different factors that are going to play a part in this offense being better. They ranked 31st last year in points per game, with about 18. It's not enough. This is a passing league. This is an offensive league nowadays. The Giants need to take a step forward. They need to dominate offensively. They need to be above average to be a playoff contending team with Super Bowl aspirations. And they added the talent to do so. You have Kenny Golladay, Saquon Barkley, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard. You still got Dante Pettis. You got Evan Ingram, however much he's worth, Pro Bowl tight end. Kyle Rudolph. You got John Ross. You have a ton of really great players to work with. This offense really comes down to blocking in the trenches and play calling. And I think the play calling will be better. But this contingency plan that they accidentally walked into is actually the best thing that could have happened to the Giants, right? The Giants walked away with arguably the best draft class out of any team this year, and Dave Gettleman kind of walked into it by mistake. He wanted Devonta Smith really badly. I wanted Devonta Smith really badly. But now I'll ask you this. If you're listening on YouTube, leave a comment below. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, also love to see your comments on YouTube. Do you think that it was more valuable to trade back and acquire Kadarius Toney, a 1st-round pick, a 4th-round pick, and a 5th-round pick, or stay put and get Devonta Smith? Looking back, I love Devonta Smith. I thought he had a high floor. We talked about him regularly. But I will say this. I think the Giants walked away with just incredible value. The Chicago Bears have the 2nd hardest schedule in 2021. So we know they're going to have struggles. They don't plan to start Justin Fields right away either. They plan to start Andy Dalton, and they plan to go into the Justin Fields era, eventually ease him into things. Let's see how Andy Dalton pans out, how he performs. The Giants have an opportunity to not only play them next season and beat the crap out of them and increase their draft stock, but also the Bears might end up gifting them a top 5, top 10 selection. And there's a couple players there that the Giants could end up snagging if Daniel Jones pans out. And I want to be optimistic. I want to be positive with DJ. If he does pan out and he ends up taking that big step forward that we need him to, Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon, he's the next big pass rusher, and he's a 3-4 outside linebacker. The guy, him and Ojulari outside, you have the best defense in the NFL. You have the best defense in the NFL. This kid is a stud, a monster. If you watch his film, go watch it. It's still early. I know we're talking really early 2022 draft, but this kid is ridiculous. He's going to be a top pass rusher. If he ends up staying healthy this year and dominating, this kid is going to translate to the NFL level, and if the Giants have a top 5 pick from the Bears, top 10 pick from the Bears, they can move up, get their pass rusher, walk into the sunset, But this is about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has had his fair share of struggles. Now, a lot of people are very critical of him, and that's very justified. He's had troubles going through his progressions at times. He's had the fumbling issues, turnover issues overall. He makes dumb mistakes. We saw it in week 1 against the Steelers. He doesn't get rid of the ball fast enough. He holds on to it too long. He doesn't have that pocket awareness that you'd like him to have, like some of those better quarterbacks do. They can feel the pressure on the blind side or even right in front of them. But I think the offensive line is going to perform better because of the weapons that they did add this season. But when it comes to Daniel Jones, if he does end up taking a step backward or even just stalling, stagnating, and not going to that next level, there's a couple quarterbacks next year that could be in the conversation for the Giants. Spencer Rattler, Howell from UNC. There's a couple of pretty solid guys that they could be looking at. There's no one that's like Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson status, I don't think. But you never know. People could take a step forward. They could end up becoming like a really sought-after prospect after the 2021 campaign. So really too early to determine, and we'll see how that develops. But the Giants now have 2 first-round selections to pair together and move up if they want to get a new quarterback, if they want to bring some competition in against Daniel Jones, maybe trade DJ like the Jets did with Sam Darnold. Of course, this is all theoretical. I pray to the football gods. I pray to Joe Judge. They figure this thing out. They make Daniel Jones a better quarterback. And I'm pretty confident he's going to be, because we saw him last year, specifically right before that injury against Cincinnati, and he strung together a couple of really good performances without any turnovers. He was passing the ball well. He was rolling out of the pocket and throwing accurate footballs downfield. They gave him a new arsenal of weapons, and this offense is not going to look anything like it did last season. A lot of hooks, a lot of curls, a lot of short yardage route concepts, because Daniel Jones had to get the ball out quickly, mainly because the offensive line wasn't giving him any time, and when he held onto the ball too long, he was fumbling or he was throwing interceptions. So you need to have that protection, but I think with Saquon and these weapons, it's going to demand a lot of defensive attention, and it's going to help that offensive line. So I'm pretty ecstatic about that. I'm excited that the Giants, have all these new playmakers, and I think that we're looking pretty good for the future. I think that it's a good time for us Giants fans to feel confident moving forward. And like I said before, it's not blind faithfulness, it's confidence. I feel good. Joe Judge, and I keep saying this, but I just want to keep hammering this home. The overwhelming support from the players in terms of a family mentality and togetherness, right? That's something unique that we haven't seen, in a quite some time. I haven't seen this since, Strahan and OC and Tuck and these guys they felt like it was a brotherhood, Those guys, they cared about each other. They fought for each other. They wanted to win together. They had leaders on the sideline. They had leaders on the field. A couple of years ago in the Ben McAdoo era, we had Eli Apple, his mom, Landon Collins, who was good until they started going back and forth, him and Eli Apple just fighting. It was a disaster, even OBJ, the antics, whatever. There was so much crap going on. Ben McAdoo could not hold that locker room together. Even when he walked in with his slick haircut, they probably laughed his ass off, and they just laughed him out of the room. Pat Shurmur, while he seemed like a great offensive coordinator, I don't think he was ready to be a head coach. He doesn't have that disciplinary mentality. Joe Judge, you saw what happened to Golden Tate last year, man. Golden Tate, he went on national television and said, feed me, give me the ball more. He made it about himself and not the team. And Joe Judge whipped him into shape real quick. Golden Tate the next day was apologizing. And I'll tell you what, he didn't get any more significant amount of snaps because of it. He was like, JoJo's like, this is our team. We are paying you to do what we tell you to do. You do not go on national television and say crap like that. That is not what we do here. You are being paid to do what we tell you to do. So I think that was, leave the antics, the ego aside. Joe Judge has it down. He's got these guys in line, in shape, right? That's a very special thing. And the players are buying in. They're saying, I don't care how many times I'm getting the ball. I don't care how many times this happens or that happens or how much attention I'm getting. If we are winning football games, that is the goal. Do you want to win a championship or do you want to bolster your own personal statistics? That's kind of like my major mentality shift that I'm trying to get across, is that Joe Judge has changed it from individual to team-oriented. Logan Ryan, Rodarius even told us, Logan Ryan hit him up. A couple other veterans hit him up. It was incredible to feel how much of a community was. Even A-Rob, Aaron Robinson, the guy drafted just a couple rounds before him, hit him up, and they were speaking. And he was like, some guys, they don't hit you up. They give you the cold shoulder. It's all about competition. They don't want to be friends. But everyone was like together. They wanted to be friends. They wanted to make each other better. This is about winning. It is about victory. It is about playoffs. It is about a future in the NFL, right? It's about development. You're never going to develop if you're, going against your teammates and fighting everybody and not coachable. And that's what Rodarius told us specifically. He's coachable. And I love that about all these prospects. Azeez Ojulari, 20 years old. Kadarius Toney, super young. All these guys are ready to be coached. They're ready to take a role, whatever it might be, special teams, starting, reserve, who cares? They just want to play football on a good team and be in a good organization. You ask anyone if they want to go to the Patriots, they're pretty much like, if you want to win, go to the Patriots. Like at least a couple years ago with Brady. So I think that Daniel Jones, going back to him, he's a team first guy. He's been hanging out with Will Hernandez. He's been hanging out with David Sills and Kenny Galladay. They were just at a Knicks game a couple days ago. They hang out regularly. He lives in Hoboken, right near Will Hernandez. They both live in Hoboken. So I think that a lot of these guys probably live in a similar area. They hang out together. They spend time together. They want to win as a team. They want to win together. That's a lot to me. I think that Daniel Jones is no exception to any of these factors, and I think that he's going to take a step forward. I'm pretty confident in that. But the Giants did accidentally walk into a contingency plan, and that was the best case scenario because we know what other teams have given up in the past to move up for a quarterback. Whether even if it's not a quarterback, if it's Nick Bosa, whether it's a premium player at any position, but most of the times it's a quarterback. Teams give up 2-3 first round picks, big time players. They give away a lot of capital to get a quarterback. We know how important that is. The Giants got themselves 2 first-round picks next year. Hopefully one of them will be really high. Another one hopefully will be 32 because the Giants win the Super Bowl. But I think that what they did this year, they put themselves in a great position with value for the future, and they give themselves a contingency plan. They give themselves a way out of the Daniel Jones situation if it does flop. Knock on wood, I think he's going to be fine. But that's the mark. That's really what we were looking for Dave Gettleman to do. Draft capital is so important for that reason, especially when you don't have a quarterback who is the future. Draft capital is so important because you can restart a rebuild, not from the beginning, right? You can get a quarterback with a full team around him and just, there you go. We have a full squad. There you go. You know what I mean? You don't need to restart the whole rebuild by drafting a quarterback. You get your draft capital, you still have stuff for the future, and you're okay. You're good, you're able to progress forward efficiently and not take steps backward. That's what the Giants did, even if it was mistakenly, because it seemed like Gettleman was pretty pissed. Especially, I saw a little clip. Gettleman looked mad. He looked like he was shaking his head. But it was clear that they wanted Devonta Smith and that this interdivisional crap between Dallas and the Eagles, unbelievable. I can't believe that I actually did that to screw the Giants. It's pretty insane. But I'm really happy with how this draft panned out, my friends. I think that we walked away with unbelievable value on all phases. Instant playmakers on both sides of the ball. Draft capital for the future. We ended up screwing both the Eagles and Dallas later on in the draft in the third round by trading up to get Aaron Robinson from UCF, who is going to be a fantastic nickel corner, hopefully compete with Darnay Holmes in the slot there. So I'm excited about that too, my friends. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A little breaking down why, I think that the contingency plan was a mistake, but it was actually the best case scenario for this team, just in case. I think that's important. That they got this value done now and that Dave Gettleman broke the streak of not trading back for 8 draft class. So that was pretty big to me as well. I think he finally modernized his approach. This coaching staff is going somewhere. They have a lot of great pieces to work with. I'm optimistic. You're optimistic. I'm so excited for football, guys. A couple more weeks, we'll have mini camp. We'll have some rookie training sessions, and we'll be getting you guys all that elite content that you crave every single day, my friends. So hopefully Anthony's feeling better. Hopefully he's not throwing up anymore. That would be great. But hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe below on YouTube and turn notifications off for YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. And this episode is brought to you by Manscaped, as always. Make sure to use that 20% off code and free shipping. As always, we got you guys covered on that. And if you do purchase anything, make sure to DM me. I'll send you something a little special from the ESM store, Giants related. So I always look out for you guys on that end too. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's it. I hope you guys have an awesome Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be with you guys tomorrow on Tuesday. Have a good one.